sappy endings, which he had bought that same year, consisting of over 300 acres with approximately 5,000 maple trees. Dad had decided not only to make and sell his own syrup, but to feature a cafe and a gift shop with other homemade gifts such as candles, maple sugar, and, of course, my favorite, the candy. Back then, I'd had no idea of the blood, sweat, and tears that had gone into the farm. My parents were no strangers to hard work. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I'd discovered Mom and Dad had spent the first 2 years in business working around the clock just to keep their heads above water. Their hard work had finally paid off, and Sappy Endings had become one of the top producers of maple syrup in the entire state.
"I want to go to work with you,"
I told him that day.
"It's boring here. Mommy makes me help her in the kitchen, and I hate it."
It was always a treat to go to Sappy Endings and watch him work, especially during sap gathering season in late winter. He'd given me a kiss on the forehead. "When you are bigger, Leila, I promise." He spread his arms out wide. "Then you will run the entire business like me."
"Yes, I want to be boss."
My father had laughed as he picked me up and hugged me tightly against him. His arms were my safe place. I'd always known I was his pet and reveled in it, in much the same way that Simon was my mother's. "There are great things in store for you, my little one," my father had told me that day. "Remember that you can do anything you want. Never let anyone take away your dreams." At the time, I hadn't fully understood what he'd meant, but now, as I looked back, it was apparent that he'd had a plan for me. My mother did too, but hers was much different. After they could afford to hire help, my mother had taken a step back from the business and stopped managing the cafe. She still did some of the baking, but always from her house, because she wanted to devote more time to her children and home. As a teenager, I'd worked summers at Sappy Endings by waiting on customers in the cafe or ringing up purchases in the gift shop. It had been a relief to be away from my mother, as we'd fought constantly. She had realized early on that I had no desire to be her mini-me. I preferred to have my nose in a book instead of baking baklava or maple donuts and crocheting in the evenings. Perhaps it was best that I'd left, but now I regretted the lost time with my father even more. "Leila, did you hear what I said?" "Huh?" I turned away from the window with a start. My best friend, Heather, was standing at the edge of the leather sofa, watching me intently. She pushed her ash-blonde hair back from her face and sipped her coffee. Heather and I had been friends since the first grade and were kindred spirits. We'd always stuck together like maple syrup and butter, but she was my total opposite where looks were concerned. While I had ebony-colored hair, dark eyes, and a Mediterranean complexion, Heather had been blessed with peaches and cream skin and eyes the color of a cloudless sky. She frowned. "I said maybe I should wait outside. This is only for family, after all." "You're family to me," I insisted. "Besides, my mother won't mind." Then again, Theo Martin, my father's attorney, probably would. We were sitting in his office waiting for him and my mother and brother to arrive. Theo was an affable guy, but everything was by the book with him. It was likely he'd refuse to let Heather stay for the reading of my father's will. She flopped down on the sofa next to me. "When are you going back to Florida?" "I don't know. In a couple of days, I guess." As much as I loved my family and Vermont, I couldn't wait to return to Florida. This had been the most difficult week of my life, and I needed some type of normalcy, especially after the shocking news I'd received. 10 days earlier, my brother, Simon, had called me with the horrifying news that our father's lifeless body had been found inside his office at Sappy Endings. He'd been shot and left for dead. After the initial trauma had worn off, I became convinced that Dad had been killed for the money in the safe and registers. A robbery